Fisher-Price presents The Great Adventures Castle, where imagination is king.
I'm not sure if anyone remembers, and I'll be honest, I'm batting at a very niche audience, but growing up, I had a few Fisher-Price playsets that always had a special place in my heart. Then I was thinking, hey, some of my favorite kids' books also included these playsets, and weren't there video games? The answer is yes, and for whatever reason, all of these things created core memories in my life. I'm someone that, for better or for worse, likes to look back and reminisce on the childhood that I no longer have. And I understand that sounds pretty sad, and it is. But I'm sure each of you have something that you like to look back on and just smile and go, I remember that. Now, maybe not everyone sits down to research for hours a bunch of toys that were made in the 90s, decides to collect a bunch of information, write out a script about why you love these things, records, edits, and uploads it to YouTube for a couple hundred people to see, but I know at least one person who does, and it's me. And I understand, you might be thinking, Sean, you're an adult. Shouldn't you be doing adult things like feeling the touch of a woman? No, but seriously guys, that box says ages 3 and up, and I'm the up. All released throughout the 90s, these toys are probably most recognizable through the Western Town, Pirate Ship, or Castle sets. When compared to the other Fisher-Price style of toys at the time, the main word that comes to mind that separates these sets from the others would have to be character. This is a lifeless piece of plastic that feels thick, bulky, and boring. On the other hand, you have unique buildings with hidden compartments, movable features, and figures that, although limited with movement, are all prepared for battle. It allows for fun play without a massive need to stretch the imagination. It's not all pretend because it's right here. Each set has a unique look with different characters, but all holding true to the same design, making it feel like the cowboys from the Western Town were always just around the corner and ready to fight a massive battle at the castle. But when digging through my old sets, I hit the realization, is there more than just the big three? For instance, I have a Fisher-Price Robin Hood's Forest set, and if you look at the box online, it says Great Adventures. Now, I expected, yeah, maybe there's 1 or 2 pieces that managed to slip through the cracks. And then I saw this, a photo with nearly every Great Adventure figure. And then I looked closer, and I realized I didn't see a single knight. And that's because it's only half. I think it's important to realize that as a child, your world is only what you were introduced to, and today I found out that my world was very small and I had lots of missed adventures. To be quite honest, I'm not really sure where to start because it's a lot. I might as well start with pirate ships because I didn't know there was this many. They span 3 large ships with then another 3 smaller pieces sold individually. This is the batch I own, and out of all the sets I'll be talking about, I think the pirate ship might be the most boring. A lot of these thrive on hidden compartments and unique features, and other than a cannon that pops up out of the center of the ship, there's not much more to note. I do really like the Skull Island, it's actually a pretty good addition, and if I'm being honest, it does everything right that the pirate ships don't. You can also note that there was a pack of 3 skeleton pirates which came out together, but those along with 11 other releases were European exclusives. This included an Indian village along with some other packs around that, and I'm just very surprised that even for the late 90s, they knew not to release those in the States. Fort Dakota, however, was greenlit as a secondary set to the Western Town, and although it's a very oddly specific choice, there wasn't really much else to go along with Fort Dakota, but when it comes to the Western Town, there was plenty. This may be the most interactive these sets get. There are several movable pieces along with some larger ones, only to be topped off by the centerpiece of the set. This included some figures along with other pieces you could buy separately that all had unique features. And although it looks like I have a lot here, believe me when I say I'm missing at least a handful of pieces, and it comes nowhere close to the amount of add-ons that came with the castle. Other than a gimmicky sand and water castle, the normal castle as I'll call it, just included a lot of minor pieces. There's dragons, plenty of different versions of knights, a giant, and a few odd pieces to go along. Why would I want a Trojan horse? I don't know, but I do. The castle itself is an iconic piece. You have a drawbridge that you can lower and raise, a tower boulders can come flying out of, and let's not forget a giant cannon that flips down from the front of the castle. Each knight holds different weapons, and both kings, when you press their heads down, will swing either an axe or a sword. Released alongside this version of the castle, there was a wizard set which included 3 figures. This prompted what would later become the Magic Castle, released in 1999. Although separate from the other castle variants, the Magic Castle didn't seem to add much. The newest feature added this time around was different sounds that would play depending on what figure you placed next to the drawbridge. Of course, this was only available to new figures included in the set, with the main selling point of the miniature packs being sold alongside the Magic Castle being that they would unlock different sounds. This gave us figures like the mummy, skeleton, or ghost. There was even a witch to go along with the wizard, and a cyclops replacing the giant this time around. Whether you view these as meaningful additions to the great adventure market is subjective, but what I noticed is a sudden shift away from the more basic charm of the originals. 2001 saw the last major playset get released, this one being themed after the Egyptian pyramid. Although intended to have electronics like the Magic Castle, Fisher-Price ended up scrapping the idea, but only for the US version, apparently pretty late into production too, seeing as the box appears to show it lighting up and the set itself having a speaker grid on the back of it. Despite mimicking previous releases including a 3-pack of mummies or bandits, a chariot, or even the Mummy King, which is just a reskin of the giant or cyclops, by 2002 the series was dropped, with many of the toys no longer being produced at that point anyway, and understandably so. The first few years released some iconic playsets, but they just managed to get gradually worse with time, and you could tell the budget took a toll on the products. If these later releases remind you of anything, it might be the Imaginext line, and if you don't know what that is, maybe you remember the giant bat cave that everybody loved. And that would be because after the Great Adventure franchise was dropped, Imaginext became Fisher-Price's next big project. Before the burnout, however, the most popular Great Adventure IPs were turned into children's books, primarily the Castle and Pirate properties. Then again, they were the first 2 sets released, so it makes sense that the books ranging from 1996 to 1999 would take from the earlier releases. Also, very on topic, the Lift the Flap books are the best, and this one in particular can still keep my tiny mind occupied. This was the same time that the games started getting released, and in my very biased opinion, they might just be the highlight of the franchise. Don't get me wrong, the playsets are iconic, but there's just something about these games. Being for ages 4 to 7, the gameplay is obviously nothing outrageous, and in all 3 games your objective is simply finding missing items. In the Wild Western town, you're on the hunt for gold bars, in the pirate ship you need to find missing pieces of a treasure map, and for the castle version, you're searching for the knights themselves. The Great Adventure Castle game was the first to be released in 1995. It's pretty straightforward, with you needing to complete specific challenges or tasks in order to get the good knights to join you. It could be as simple as finding shapes that match those above a fireplace, shooting cannonballs and selecting the same number, or trading your way up at a market for a knight. The point is, it's all simple. It's a kid's game. Once you've collected all of them and fixed their shields, your party rushes to the castle in the hopes of saving King McBeard. Assuming you select the right knights for each task, the player character Macduff gets knighted, and you are all able to enjoy a feast. Ending the game, and it's short, it's sweet, and it actually has a story, which is one more thing than the others. 1996 saw the release of Great Adventure's Pirate Ship, but this game took a bit of a turn away from its predecessor. Instead of needing to complete challenges in order to find what you were looking for, in this case pieces of a treasure map, your cursor would turn into a star when hovering over certain spots, allowing you to search them, possibly holding one of the 9 pieces. In exchange for this, a handful of minigames were included. You can chuck barrels into the ocean for some target practice, use a telescope to see some cute little cutscenes. For me, firing things out of a cannon was my personal favorite, along with feeding the captain's parrot everything in his corridors. If you were feeling more creative, you could create a custom flag or ship in a bottle. There was even an option to have sing-alongs with the crew under the deck. And hey, if for whatever reason you really like these songs, cassettes were made for each game as probably the weirdest piece of media. A year later, and the games must have been having success, seeing as the Wild Western town would receive its adaptation. This introduced Deputy PD, or Prairie Dog, the most adorable addition of these games. I won't lie, this is a carbon copy of the pirate ship game. Except, it's better in every way. It starts out with a short old silent film that gets narrated to you with the plot of the game. Come on! I'd give it 9 out of 9 gold bars if Bandit Bob didn't steal them all. Yes, a lot of the activities are just reskins. Creating your own badge or wanted poster is just different variations on a flag or a ship in a bottle. But in my biased opinion, it's more fun. You simply have more options, and what you're making is just kind of more enjoyable. I have the same feelings about both the barrel launching and the cannon minigames too. The active scenery, along with the short little bits that play each time you hit something with a barrel, makes this version leagues more enjoyable than just staring out into a mostly blank ocean. The cannon game especially has a lot more interesting interactions than simply having everything parachute down into the ocean. And even the sing-along section gets an improvement, this time including visuals, and even though it's not much, it's better than just staring at words on a screen. Not to mention the new minigame added, although simple, obviously, shows off a lot of cool new designs where you need to match items to their owner. I could nitpick and say that even the visuals overall were an improvement, having backgrounds with a lot more character than just a blank ship, and I will, because it's true. Hell, at the end of the game, after finding all the missing gold bars, you get to throw Bandit Bob in jail and can even print out an honorary deputy certificate. Do you know what the previous game gave? Nothing, and it will show in my rankings. But first, we need to look at the Great Adventure Castle game, because in 1998, they remade a version to suit how the other 2 games played. And I'll give credit where credit is due because they actually gave the game a plot again. A single Viking named Vigor, not to be confused with Vagar, has somehow snuck into the castle and kidnapped and hidden the Knights of the Round Table within the building. Interesting, I'll give him that, and it does explain the random release of this Viking figure. What I don't understand is why the king is a pussy now.
Oh goodness, oh my! What to do? What to do? All my knights are missing! This is terrible, just terrible. Vigor the Viking is going to attack, and there's no one to protect the castle.
Okay, what the fuck is that? I have never played this game before, and up until a week ago, I didn't even know it even existed, and I wasn't missing out. This UI is disgusting. Do you think I'm a child? Oh shit, yeah. Maybe I shouldn't be so harsh. Looking back at it, I definitely have nostalgia goggles for the games that I played growing up, and obviously having my first interactions with a new one as an adult isn't gonna hold the same value. With that being said, designing your own shield and castle holds nothing compared to the Wild Western town. Your canon game looks stupid and out of place. You cannot touch perfection. Oh, what's that? A new feature? Yeah, let's take a look at that one, buddy. A deflecting game? Have you ever heard of Pong? It's been done before. Build your own comic you can print out. I don't see a single cowboy or deputy in here, probably because they kick your ass. And this is the most poorly edited music video for a sing-along I've seen. Wait, there's a music video for a sing-along? Okay, maybe there were some upgrades. The visuals do look pretty nice. But you know what this game doesn't have? An animated ending. Oh shit, it does. And I got a certificate of knighthood. Look at this shit. It's a piece of paper. As far as I could tell, this is everything I could find on the Fisher-Price Great Adventure series. It's strange that something that held such a core memory in my childhood is nearly non-existent in documentation, and I understand the internet was still young and this was a little bit before the time of everything being kept track of on the internet, but still just the lack of a digital footprint just broke my heart a little bit. Knowing that things that I grew up with are gradually being lost to time is a terrifying idea that honestly makes me really sad. As I mentioned before, I'm someone who every once in a while will look up different toys or games that I grew up with in the hopes of just reliving a little bit of the joy that I once felt, and it's not always easy. If I was able to do anything today, I hope I was able to give you just a little bit of that sparkle back. I know it's not great to linger on the past, but damn, I'm a sucker for reminiscing. As for my opinions, I view the castle and the Wild Western town as two of the best playsets, with the treehouse being a niche pick, honestly not that far behind. The Wild Western town is the best video game adaptation, with the castle versions trailing behind, and man, was the pirate ship just a bit of a letdown. Of course, no bad blood if your opinions are different than mine, and I appreciate you making it this far in the video. I hope to see you guys again soon, and I'll see you around.